In this video, I want to explain how you can use Rhino Estimating Software to double your estimating speed. Now, what we hear from our clients a lot is they're able to double their estimating speed, and one of the tools that you use to double your estimating speed is called Assemblies. Right now, I have Rhino opened. I've done some setup for this, but this is the assembly catalog over on the left here. I'll highlight it real quick. This is the assembly catalog. And I have it drilled down into commercial assemblies. Now let me show you how it works. This is kind of reverse engineering how it works to estimate projects. You start with your drawing, and here you see a drawing, an example of just a small commercial office. Now on this drawing, I know it's kind of marked up here, but we have symbols of, see there's symbols for quad receptacles, for duplex receptacles. There's symbols for data stub ups, for lighting fixtures here, for switches, etc. This is just a simple example of an electrical drawing. Now the way it works, the basis of estimating is to make a material list, what we call a material takeoff. Here's a picture, or if you will, an example of a material takeoff. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. There we go. So notice that I counted there were 9 receptacles, one 20 amp quad receptacle, a single pole switch, a 2-gang switch, etc. So this again is an example of the material takeoff. Here I input some MC cable, that I'll show that in another example. But here again, what I'm showing you is the flow of how it works to input materials or to estimate a project, okay? It starts again with the blueprint. You make a list of materials, and then you go into Rhino Estimating Software and input that. Now, I'm going through this real fast, I realize that, but I have an assembly catalog here, and I have a list of assemblies down at the bottom left. I'm going to put in 9 20 amp receptacle assemblies here. We have different ones. I'll put in a quantity of 9 and I'll click add. When I click add, it populates a list of materials on the top left here. Now I'm just going to click save so we can look at it. Okay, so the first line here shows a description of the assembly, and then below that are the items included in the assembly. Okay, you see that? And now let me just explain. We input 9 receptacle assemblies, so it spit out 9 J boxes, 4S boxes, 9 plaster rings, some mounting hardware, 50 cents for mounting hardware, 9 receptacles, 9 plastic plates, 9 pigtails, and 27 wire nuts. So you see how where you input assemblies and it counts, or I should say it inputs all the materials you need for a complete unit. Now, an extension of that thought is, I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you, what it also does is it shows you a description of the item here. It shows you the quantity, it shows you the price, and extended price. Now this is real powerful because what the program's doing the whole time you're inputting this material, it's calculating your total materials and its cost, and it's totaling your labor. Look, here's how it shows 0.23 hours to install the junction box, and then 2.7 hours to install all 9 of them. Okay, so it does what we call the extensions. Okay, that's what makes this so fast, is using these assemblies is one of the things that really helps you to rapidly input materials. Now, see in the assembly catalog how we have assembly different categories for assemblies. We have assemblies for fixtures, that's lighting fixtures, switches, dimmers, receptacles, etc. See that? 4 square boxes, 11 square, or 4 11/16 boxes, cut-in boxes. We have pre-built assemblies for safety switches, for disconnect switches, motor connections, etc. See, what you do is you just locate the assembly that you're looking for, go and put in the quantity, it spits out the quantity, labor, and material prices. That's what makes this so fast. Next, I'm going to delete the items in here, and I'm going to show you the same example, only an example of using residential assemblies. The same principle works when you're estimating residential projects. Again, this is an example of a residential drawing. You see a room addition here. There's switches and 3-way switches and receptacles, ceiling fan. Now I'm flying through this, I realize. Over here is an example of a 30 amp disconnect switch for an air conditioning hookup, okay? Now, again, the way it works is you read your blueprints, make a material list. Here's the example of the residential material list. In this case, or example, I actually drew the symbols on over here, on one side over here, and then filled out or showed the quantities of them here. So again, it goes from the drawing, you make a material list, and when you know the assemblies that we have pre-built in Red Rhino, it makes it much faster because you just list items like receptacles and GFIs, okay? I won't go over this list, but next I go into Red Rhino to input the materials that's here on the list. Now the first item I'm going to input into Red Rhino is this assembly for a 15 amp tamper-resistant receptacle. There's 5 of them. Here I am back in Red Rhino, and I've opened up the assembly catalog for residential. You can see the different categories here. There's receptacle assemblies, and again, this is the assembly catalog for residential. There's receptacle, switches, lighting, ceiling fan, smoke detector, bath fan, low voltage, panels and home runs, and dryers, hot water heaters, range and oven. Now, I'm going to go down and input some, again, of the tamper-resistant receptacle assemblies. So I'm going to put in, let me check my quantity again here. There was 5 of them here. So I go into Red Rhino, I'm going to put 5 of these assemblies in for tamper-resistant receptacles. I'll click Add, it populates up to the right, I click Save. Now, when this saves, notice again, here's an example of residential assemblies. There's a 1-gang plastic box, there's 5 of them, see I put 5 of these assemblies in. 5 tamper-resistant receptacles, 5 plates. It included, now look here, it included 30 feet of 14-2 Romex, okay, to tie them together. Some staples, a little bit of labor for drilling, and some wire nuts. That's the way the assemblies work, and that's how they work so fast. Now here I've drilled down in the assembly catalog and looking for an assembly for a ceiling fan, and what I've done was I've input a 15 amp residential ceiling fan assembly. Here we see the material list here. I'm going to click Save. We see the materials that it output for it. Now again, here's a description of the assembly, a residential 15 amp ceiling fan. It includes a ceiling fan light speed controller, okay, labor to mount the ceiling fan, labor only. This is assuming that your owner provides the ceiling fan, so it has a 0 cost for that. It includes a ceiling fan rated box. Look, it includes 20 feet of 14-2 Romex, 30 feet of 14-3, 10 staples, some labor for drilling, and some wire nuts. Again, the pre-built assemblies in Red Rhino are one of the things that help you double your estimating speed when you're using the program. Now, just so you know, we have video clips that you can watch in Red Rhino to learn at your own speed, okay? Just wanted to show you that. Hope that helps.